Well, good morning. Hello there, Lynn. Today, everyone, I'm here with Lynn from Living Large in a Small House. You might have been visiting her blog before or have listened to her podcast. So she is located in Illinois. I don't know exactly where, but I will ask. So, hi, Lynn. How are you today?
Hi, Lisa. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Yeah, it's nice to have you. And yeah, so you're in Illinois. So, where exactly are you?
I am in Illinois. I'm about 35 miles northwest of Chicago, so in the suburbs.
Oh, okay. And you've lived in your house for a long time, about 30 years or so, is that right?
That's correct. It was my husband's bachelor pad, and we met and we got married, and I moved in with my then 8-year-old son at the time. And I had every intention of moving, but he wasn't going to budge. And I guess that was a discussion we should have had before we got married. But
Perhaps.
yeah, we consequently had two more children together, and we've raised three kids in a 1,300 square foot house, hence the living large in a small house.
Yeah. Yeah. So your kids are moved out now, right?
The
They've
kids
grown
are
up.
all grown. Yes. Kenny's 39 and he lives in LA, and he's finally getting married in February of next year. Annie is a TV news producer in Dallas, and she married her husband Tommy in both 2021 and 2022. So we did the whole COVID thing, the little intimate backyard wedding one year, and then the other wedding that we finally referred to as the party. And then our youngest, Emma, lives in the city of Chicago in a cute little apartment downtown.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you did a kitchen reno a while back, didn't you?
Our kitchen we've renovated every room in this house at least once, most twice, and some of them three times, because having been someone who, when I got bored, I moved in the past and would work on homes, and Keith not wanting to go anywhere, I get bored with things, or they get outdated, in my opinion, and so they have to get redone. And Keith is the kind of person who, when he builds something, he builds it to last forever. So when I ask him to redo something, he just shakes his head and he knows he's in for a big thing. But yeah, we did our kitchen, but it's been almost 10 years now. And I'm actually in the process of, I would call it a refresh, is what I'm going to do to it. I'm not going to redo the whole kitchen. I'm just going to update it and upgrade a few things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's everyone likes to do that like once in a while, right?
Mhm.
Just to, you know, just to freshen it up.
Freshen it up, exactly. At 10 years in a kitchen, a white kitchen, it gets beat up.
This is true.
Yeah, and I'm a cook. I'm someone who cooks. I make our meals every single day. So it is the heart of our home, and it's a working kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets used. It's not just there to be pretty.
Exactly.
Well, and so how long have you been doing your blog?
I have honestly had my blog for 11 years. I started it in 2012, I believe it was. And but I didn't do much with it. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought that I could just sit down and write, and that was it. Well, as you know, there's so much more to blogging than just writing a post. And the back end was so confusing to me. And I was also working a full-time corporate job. And so it kept getting put to the wayside. And then in 2019, my job was eliminated because of COVID. And that's when I really started to put my heart and soul into my blog. I joined the Thistlewood group. I don't know, were you in the Thistlewood group too
I
as
was.
well? Yeah.
Yeah.
And went to Haven in for 2 years. I went in 2021 and 2022. And I would say that's when I really started to understand things and learn things and had the time. to put into my blog, because the biggest thing about blogging is consistency. And when you're blogging once a month, or even sometimes I would go a year or 2 years without blogging. Yeah, it really made a difference. And my blog really started to take off in 2019.
Mhm. Yeah. So what was the, way back when you started, what was your inspiration for having a blog? Was it just your love of decor, your love of lifestyle, cooking and all that? What inspired you?
That is exactly why I started my blog. I wanted to share. I had a lot of people tell me, I had my own interior design business for a while, and working for yourself and working in the Chicago market, it wasn't an easy job to have, and you have to work nights and weekends. And I compared it to being a realtor. You have to be at the customer's beck and call all the time.
Yes.
And a lot of people would also say, why don't you cater? You love to cook, you have beautiful parties. And again, it was something I was passionate about, but I didn't want my weekends and my evenings taken up working.
Yeah.
So I threw it all into a blog, and thought that would be the best way to share the things I love with other people. And I also love to write. Always been somebody who journaled. I have put words on paper since I was probably 10 years old.
Yeah, so writing comes easy to you.
Yes, writing does come easy to me. I know for some bloggers, that isn't the case. So yeah, that's the easy part for me.
Yeah, no, you're lucky, because it's true. It doesn't come easy to everyone. Like when I have to write something, it's like you have to squeeze it out of me, because I'll write it and then I'll think so much that I'll change it 20 times. It's just, I can't do it. Well, I mean, I do it, but
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Well, and they don't make it easy for us anymore, because we can't just write, like spilling our thoughts and our feelings on paper. We have to use the correct keywords, and we have to have the right amount of words. And, there's so much involved. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true. There's a lot more into it than everybody thinks. And luckily the tech is getting easier than it was 10 years ago. That's for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I've gotten very, very proficient at the back end part of it. And for me, that has been kind of another source of design, if you will. I really enjoy that part of it now. I know some people find that the most frustrating, and I did too. But now that I understand it, I'm like, oh, this is fun, or oh, I can change this around in my blog.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And so, do you use a professional camera, or do you use your iPhone? I'm always curious about what people use.
This is such a tough question for me, because I have a lot of camera equipment. I have 2 DSLRs, and I still tend to use my iPhone because it just is easier. It's quicker, it's handy. And quite honestly, I feel like I take better pictures on my iPhone than I do on my camera. But it is a goal for me this year to get very skilled with my cameras, because I would love to have my home in magazines, and they want professional photography. If that doesn't work, my other thought is to hire a professional photographer to come out
Yeah.
and do my filming for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always do that. So have you ever had your house in a publication before?
I have not. I have not.
Have you ever rented your house out for filming or anything like that?
I haven't rented my house out for filming. I've considered it because we do live on water, and so and I have beautiful, huge gardens. So, I've thought about it. Leslie from my 100-year-old house.
Yes.
I know her pretty well. She actually was my mentor for 2 years at Haven. And I've had the opportunity to work with her on a few other little things, and she does it. And I always say to her, my house is so tiny, and how would they have a camera in here? And she said, you'd be surprised. you should just go for it. I have not pursued it only because the reality is with my blog, I work 40 hours a week in this house. So it would be very disruptive.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you do? You'd have to go out, stay in a hotel for
Right.
however long and bring all your stuff with you. And yeah,
Exactly.
I can see that could be complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, how fun would it be to have your house in a movie or even a commercial?
Yeah, I know. That would be so cool. Wow. So what would you say is your favorite room in your favorite spot in your house?
Oh, that's a tough one for me too, because I actually I enjoy every room in my house and for a different reason. Um, I make sure my home is my haven and my nest. And so there isn't a room that I don't enjoy sitting in or being in. But right now this is we're sitting in my office, and I just redid this room for the one room challenge in the fall. And you know how when it's a new room, it makes it more fun to be in. Right now, it's my grow room for my plants for my garden, so it's not quite
Oh, I
as
see.
attractive as usual. But yeah, I like being in here. It's our warmest room in the house, and it just has a lot of charm. So I like being in here.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's really good. If you're spending 40 hours a week working on your blog, then it's good to do it in a nice place where you're happy and you're comfortable and all
Right,
that.
right. And my
Yeah,
little 15-year-old doggy can sit on the couch by me and sleep all day while I work. Yeah, so we both
yeah,
love it.
that's nice. Yeah. And does your husband work still? Is he
My
there at home
husband,
all
yeah,
day with you
no, oh my gosh, no. And I don't think I will ever let him be home all day. He he's a contractor and he's younger than I am. So yeah, he's still working full time. And I think he will always keep a spot in his building to go and tinker in, because during COVID, he was here 2 days and said, I got to get out of here. And he went and made things for around the house and had all kinds of projects he was dreaming up. Um, yeah, we would kill each other, I think, if we were together all the time.
I get it. And what did you used to do before? You mentioned you had your designing business and your corporate job. Were you in Scholastic? Was that it?
I was with Scholastic. Yeah, yeah. I have a degree in interior design, but when having a husband who is a contractor, we were paying crazy amount for our family for insurance. And our system here in the US is so different than yours in Canada. And I basically went back to work for the benefits. And at the time, my kids were little and I was volunteering at our schools and I loved the book fair. And the person who I was connected with at Scholastic, she was leaving. And I thought, oh, what a fun, that might be a fun job. So I literally on Friday applied for a job with no intentions of going back to work. And on Monday, I was offered the position. And in 2 weeks, I was back working full time. So I worked for Scholastic for almost 20 years. And then, of course, with the pandemic, when all the schools are closed, I would say half of the people who worked for Scholastic were our jobs were eliminated. But
Yeah.
it actually was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when something happens and you think, oh God, this is terrible. What's going to happen? And then it turns out that it opens another door
Right.
to something better, right? So,
Right. And God always has a plan for us, and it all works out.
mhm. Yeah, no, that's good because now you can concentrate on your blog and things you like and your passion and, like, do you have to, do your ideas come to you? Do they flow to you and then you have so many ideas that you have to write them down, or do you have to sit and think, what could I do next week? Like, how does it work for you?
Um, a combination of both. I get most of my ideas, believe it or not, when I'm driving in my car. I don't know why. Um, and I do have to write them down. I do keep a running list of ideas that I have. But then I also have times where maybe my ideas aren't realistic for me to get a blog post out and photography taken. So I now am at the point where I have so many blog posts that I do on a busy week. I'll take an old blog post and I'll rewrite it because the stuff I wrote in the beginning, oh my goodness.
I know when you look back, you think,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. What was I thinking?
Yeah, but it just shows that you progressed over the years, right? You get
Right.
better and better the more you do. So,
Correct. Yeah.
oh, wow.
But yeah, I do have a lot of ideas. I blog about a lot of things. I'm not niched down the way that they tell you to be, but when you're passionate about everything in a home, it's not just about decorating. And I'm not decorating 24/7. I love to cook, so I like to talk about that. I'm very organized, so I do a whole segment on organizing. I'm a passionate gardener, and so once I can get my hands in the dirt, I talk a lot about gardening during the summertime. We have a greenhouse, we have an outdoor kitchen, we have an outdoor living room, so I do a lot of outdoor type things. And then I have a love of vintage. There's just so many things that I like. It's hard. It would be way too hard for me to focus on one thing.
Yeah, I get it because I love everything too. I love entertaining. I love cooking. I love gardening. I love decorating. I love having music on. I love music in the background, and I just it's everything. I love the outside of homes. I love looking at magazines. Oh yeah, I listened to your podcast with Amy Sadler
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the magazines.
That we love to smell them.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's something about the paper. And they all smell different to me. It's so bizarre.
that's funny.
Yeah, I love books. I have a lot of old decorating books, and I sometimes find inspiration in those too. Taking something and putting like a new spin on it or an updated spin on it. I mean, because reality, Amy and I talked about this too. We don't really ever have really fresh new ideas, just fresh ideas. There's not anything that I can think of that somebody hasn't done in one way, shape, or form before. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but you know, you you've got a whole house, so you've got lots of different you've got rooms that you can do, and you've got different objects. And well, I was just wondering, what do you do about storage at your house? Like, do you have a basement where you store things, or?
no, because we live on water, we can't have a basement. Our water table is so low. We only have a crawl space, and it's not any place I would ever store anything. We also do not have a garage. And so storage is a huge issue for me, and consequently why I'm a really good organizer. And there isn't a square inch of this house that I don't utilize in one way or another for some kind of storage. I have built-ins in every single room in the house. We have a boathouse, and we built a roof on top of that houses all my seasonal decorating things, and we have a shed. But my philosophy basically has become, if I'm bringing something in, I've got to get rid of something. So it's like
Mhm.
one thing in, two things out. I'm constantly going to Goodwill, constantly selling things on Facebook Marketplace. I don't have the room to store things.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and because I was wondering, I know when I talked to Carrie Ann before, she was talking about all the stuff she gets through sponsors and things like that. And she gives it to her mom and her sister, and because you can't keep everything, it's just impossible. And there's so much coming and going. So yeah, I wondered if that would be a problem.
Well, and our daughter, who just bought her house in Dallas, it's been a year now, but it's still a new house to them. And they're newlyweds. I do get things from sponsors too, and they are the recipients of any kind of furniture, anything that I just don't have space for, I bring it to them. And then if she doesn't want it, I let her do the selling or the donating too.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Is there, in your home, do you have a favorite piece of furniture or a favorite item that you would never, like that you treasure and that will always be with you?
Oh gosh. You know, when my mom passed away, my sister had all of her things and I didn't get a lot. So I don't have a lot of things that were passed down to me. And because I do love vintage, I make up my own stories about who owned them and what happened to them before. But I am not that sentimental about items. I can't think of anything that I would say there's no way I could live without that. I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't
No?
really have any. Everything in my house has been replaced furniture wise at one point or another.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay. And what about going to um, flea markets and places like that? Are there some good places around Chicago?
There's some great vintage stores that I really like. One of my faves I was just at on Tuesday. We are having a vintage shop hop that runs through the whole state of Illinois and Wisconsin this weekend. So I avoid that like the plague. I don't go near anything during that time. But yeah, we have some great vintage shops, and vintage flea markets. I've been to Liz Marie's from
Oh,
up in Michigan. I've gone there a couple of times to hers. It's about a 3-hour drive for me, but well worth the drive. And there's one up in Elkhorn, Wisconsin that I like to go to, which is only about maybe a 40-minute drive for me. Yeah, we do have a lot of that stuff is accessible to us.
yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I love stuff like that. Um, I was hoping to go one time. It's my dream to go to in Texas. There's a place called Round Top. They have French antiques and vintage things.
It's on my bucket list too. And in fact, I told my daughter Annie my next trip down to Texas is going to be in the fall during Round Top, and we're going.
Yeah. Yeah. Is she into decorating as well? Like, does she have a
She
passion
is.
for it?
She is. Both my girls are very into decorating. Emma, who's only 24 years old, who lives in the city, her apartment is absolutely the sweetest thing, and hers is all mid-century modern. Annie is actually very modern because her husband Tommy lived in an apartment in Manhattan. So that's kind of what he grew up with and he's comfortable with. But she's put being in Texas put kind of the farmhouse twist on that. And her house is really, really cute. Yeah, both my girls are really good they have a good eye. Annie has a great eye for photography. I wish she lived closer because she could do my photography for me.
That would be handy.
Yeah, it would be very handy.
What about your husband? Does he like decorating? Does he care about it? Does he
Well,
just let you do your thing?
if you asked him, he thinks he's an expert because he's in people's homes every single day working on homes. But yeah, we have debates over it, but I tend to win. But we also agree on a lot of things too. One of our favorite things to do is once we decide and we agree that a project needs to be done, we get very involved together in the planning and the execution of the whole thing. And I call him Handy on my blog because he does everything for me. He makes my dreams become a reality. And all I have to do is basically tell him what I want, how I want it, and he makes it work. So yeah, he's really involved in everything that I do. We went down to Dallas and put in a whole new kitchen for Annie and Tommy in 8 days. So, and
Wow.
He did it by himself.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. We gutted the whole thing and put in a brand new kitchen.
Wow. Well, that's great. And what about your house you live in? How old is your house?
You know what? I just had to fill out a census form and I had to look it up. I think it was built in 1976, if I recall. So it's an older house, but you would never know. We have replaced every single wall, floor, and there isn't anything but the original beams, and ceilings are cedar. And that's the only thing that's original to this house. There isn't a window that hasn't been replaced. It's so while it's an old house, it's a sturdy new house, really.
And what about the land around your house? How much property do you have?
We don't have a ton of property. I think we're on maybe a half an acre. But we have, next to us is a park. And so it appears like we have a lot more space, and having water behind us. And we live on like a cul-de-sac, and there's only 6 homes here. So we're very secluded. Even though we're in the suburbs, we're a little bit more rural than most people are. Lot of nature. We have deers that live right across the street from us. They think my garden is there where they come to eat every day. So I battle with the deer pretty much year round to keep them out of my gardens. In fact, I just was walking out yesterday and my tulips, because we've had such crazy weather, my tulips are starting to come up. And I'm finding tulips that I didn't even know I had. And I think it's because the deer come and mow them down before I ever even see them. And because I saw them yesterday, I have on my calendar, now that we're not getting snow, to go out there and start spraying my deer off everywhere.
Wow. And what about what is the water that you're on?
It's the Fox River. It's a river, and it flows all the way from, I don't know, way up in Wisconsin. Keith is better about this. It's a tributary of something, and then it goes all the way down and flows into the Mississippi River. We can boat, I think it's 20 some miles from between where we can't, it gets too narrow to a dam that is as far as we can go south. But yeah, it's the Fox River, and we enjoy that part of it. It gets a little crazy in the summertime. We have a boat sitting right out in our backyard, and we don't use it as much as we could because it's a big recreation area for people.
Oh, nice. Now, do you like to travel a lot, or are you a homebody?
I am such a homebody. Oh, I love my home. I love being in my home, and I'm a reluctant traveler. But our biggest trip that we had planned was when Emma went to Spain to do a semester abroad, and the whole family was going to meet her there and in Spain, and then we were going to go to France and Italy, and then COVID happened, and she was only there for a month and a half and had to come home. And well, the rest is history. Everything we had planned got canceled. So yeah, I'm kind of a reluctant traveler. I don't like to fly. I do it because I have to get places, but I'm not crazy about it. Having said that, I've been to almost every state in the United States. I've been to Alaska. We've been to all the islands down in the Caribbean. We've been to Mexico. We've been to Canada. My brother lives in upstate New York, so a couple of times we've taken the route of going through Canada to get there.
Hmm, cool. So is there a place that you dream of going to that you haven't been to yet?
My dream is Italy. And
Yeah.
England. I would love to go to England. In fact, Amy is planning potentially a little trip to France And she mentioned it to me, and I'm like, I'm on board. Just let me know when.
Yeah, I was joking with her and my blogger friends a while back, because do you know Sharon Santoni? She has the magazine My French Country Home. Have you heard of that one?
No, I don't. I know of the magazine, but I don't know her at all. No.
Ah, okay. Well, she is British, but she lives in France, in Normandy, and she started blogging, and that and turned out into a book, and then another book, and then she started the magazine. But she also has a trip every year, so you can go and stay in a place. She arranges everything, and then she'll take you everywhere for a week as a group. She'll take you to the antique markets, and she'll take you to beautiful restaurants, and those kind of things. And this year she's doing it in August, and she's going to the area of Chenonceau. That's a beautiful castle. And
Mhm.
so I was joking around with Amy and a few that we should all go together. That would be amazing.
Maybe I'll be on that trip.
Yeah, like Sharon, the last time she did it, one of her friends has a chateau that they restored, and the people who would come for this tour would stay in that chateau, and they would help make the meals, and they would do flower arranging and things, and then day trips. And but her friend, fortunately or unfortunately, ended up selling that chateau about a year ago. So
Oh
now
boy.
they'll have to stay somewhere else. But
Yeah.
like,
How
wow.
cool, how cool would that be to be able to be hands-on and in a romantic chateau?
Yeah, it's just dreamy.
Dreamy. Exactly.
Oh boy. Yeah. So yeah, maybe I can end up going there. Well, who knows? We'll
Who
see what
knows?
happens.
Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, that magazine is really nice. Like my thing that I love is French country. Um, I assume that you like that too. Like, what would you say is your style? It's not
Well,
exactly French country.
my design style has changed so much over the years, as anybody's probably has, but I would say it's always leaned into traditional. That's been consistent through my style, but my style has kind of come for full circle. Back in the 80s, my home was really country, like Country Living magazine country. And then I went through my Waverly Laura Ashley phase, and now I think I would call my style French country farmhouse with a little bit of English cottage vibe going on. So it's very eclectic. If I like
Yeah.
something, I don't care if it fits in my style. I make it work because I like the things that are around me to be things I like and enjoy. If I don't like it, there's no reason for me, or even love it, quite frankly, there's no reason for me to have it in my house.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I was thinking about cooking and recipes and things like that. Do you have um, a favorite recipe? Something that you have shared more than once?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm Swedish, and a tradition that we have at Christmas time is making Swedish potato sausage. And I probably talk about it, but I think I've only done one actual blog post about it, but it's my most viewed blog post. Um, and I don't even actually like it. But the making of it is fun because it's a family tradition. Our kids are involved. It's always a big deal. Even though my brother who lives in New York isn't able to be with us, we're always Skyping, and they're making it there. And my sister in Tennessee, they're making it at their house. I do have one brother who lives close by, so we're typically together with all of our kids. So that's probably my most popular. I also have a sister-in-law who's Italian. And in fact, my blog post tomorrow is about making spaghetti sauce, which she taught me. Coming from a Swedish German mother, my mom's idea of spaghetti sauce was a can of tomato sauce with a little bit of salt and pepper and maybe some garlic powder. So yeah, my mom, I didn't learn to cook from my mom. I learned to cook on my own. But yeah, I'm a pasta nut. There isn't a pasta I don't like.
And do you like baking as well, or do you prefer savory foods to baking? Or
I can't even make a chocolate chip cookie. I'm not a baker, and I don't know why. I think it's because baking, you have to be precise. And until I had to write down my recipes for my blog post to share them, I don't measure things. And cooking, you don't have to measure things. I mean, it's more of a feel, it's taste, it's feel, it's intuition. And so I think that's why I'm not a good baker. I also don't really like sweets. So maybe that's why I'm not passionate about it enough to even give it a go. Yeah, so no, baking is not my thing. I do bake bread, but that's kind of different. That's not really the same thing.
yeah.
But I've attempted, I've failed so many times that I just don't do it anymore.
What about entertaining? Do you have people often come over, or
Oh my gosh. When we were younger, we had a 4th of July party every year, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were always themed, and it was just crazy. And the last one we had was a MASH party. I don't know if you're familiar with MASH, the TV show.
yeah, I know it.
And we literally had tanks in our yard. We had the swamp with a running still in it. It was crazy and so much fun. So much fun. And then when I went back to work, it was harder to do those kind of big, huge extravaganzas. I still like to entertain, but on a much lower scale. I love having dinner parties. Um, we have all new neighbors, which is kind of weird because our old neighbors had lived with us around us for about 28 years. And I think that one or the other of our neighbors or all the neighbors came over to eat almost every single weekend. So
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, and what do you say is your favorite season? Like, do you like Christmas season the best, or do you like fall decorating? What do you think?
I love Christmas, but I also cannot wait till Christmas is over because it's so much stuff. And I really look forward to spring and kind of the decluttering of my home and making it more sparse and just kind of waiting for that summer to happen. And we love summers because we really spend a lot of time outside. Um, I and fall, I love the fall because of the weather, and it only lasts here in Chicago anymore for it seems like 2 weeks, where we have that cool, warm during the day and those crisp evenings. And yeah, I could never be somebody who moved to Florida or even Texas for that matter, because I just love the change of seasons. I love snow. I love warm. I like it all.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think like I love Christmas, but fall is my thing. Like I just love the fall colors, and it's just, I don't know, something about the fall.
Yes, I really like the fall too, but interestingly enough, I really don't like fall. I don't like oranges. I don't like yellows. I don't really like red. I don't even use red for Christmas. Um, but I really enjoy fall too. I like making my home more cozy and kind of just like leaning into getting ready for the holidays kind of vibe that it is. We have a couple fireplaces, and I burn more firewood than anybody I know.
Yeah, I love a wood fire. It's just, it's the cozy thing, and the
Yeah,
experience when you smell it, and it's the whole thing. I love it.
exactly.
Yeah. So do you have a big storage space outside for wood that you have to store?
Um, we don't, it's not huge, but we have a supplier who we can get wood from I just make a phone call and they
Okay.
come and drop it. Yeah, I don't have a lot of storage for wood. It's outside and underneath our outdoor living room. But yeah, and we cut down trees around here. So when that happens, we also store next to my greenhouse. We pile it between trees there and kind of make a fence out of it. But
Yeah. Oh, that's good. You've got a supply.
yeah, we have a supply.
Well, who are some of your favorite bloggers and decorators?
Oh my gosh. I admire a lot of people for different reasons. I Leslie Sayeda from my 100-year-old house. I love her because she's so creative with her crafts and her entertaining. I really appreciate that. I love Marion Parsons from Miss Mustard Seed, and I love her blog and I love her books. Probably one of my favorites is Courtney Allison
Yeah,
from French Country Cottage.
yeah, I love her.
Her blog and her photography and her design, and she's just
So beautiful.
amazing. Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, I there's bloggers that I follow for different, different reasons. But reality, this sounds, I don't know if this sounds bad or what, but I don't have time to be too on top of everybody because I'm working on my own so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, me too. I can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I pretty much dropped off the whole social media bandwagon because it's a time sucker. It doesn't bring me, as far as I can tell, any kind of benefit from spending a bunch of time over there. And so my number one focus is my blog. And my goal for this year is to really start working on my YouTube channel. And those are my top priorities. And I'm staying focused on them because the rest just doesn't, even affiliate marketing just is a lot of work for very little benefit for me.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of blogger friends now?
I do. I would say that my blogger friends are like my coworkers. Um, it can be a lonely job sitting in your house all by yourself. And I have some good people that I surround myself with. And I would say that the key to my success has been, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. The key to my success has been, one, being very consistent, and two, surrounding myself with people who I can go to if I've got issues and share successes with. And yeah, I've got some people that I consider good friends from blogging. And when I've met them in person, finally, it's just like such a joy to meet somebody that you feel like you're really connected with, but you've never ever met them except over a Zoom call or a phone call.
Yeah, that's funny.
I know it's a strange world.
Yeah, yeah, just that's what happened.
Right.
What about shopping and stores? Do you have any favorite stores?
Mm, I do have some favorite stores. We've got some cute little shops near us, and so I like shopping local. I like supporting my local businesses, and so yeah, one of them is called Tattered Teaks. I had her actually on my podcast maybe last month. I really enjoy going to their little shop, and sometimes I buy things, sometimes I don't. It's another way to give me inspiration to just look at, things that they have in their shop. I feel like they're ahead of some of the trends sometimes too, because they're shopping at these markets where they're looking for things months and months ahead of when we're going to actually see them in the store. And I've become friends with my little shop owners so that I
Yeah.
can get the inside scoop.
Yeah.
I don't really frequent any kind of major type of store. I take that back. I really like Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
Um, and I, I use Amazon for everything from vitamins to appliances.
Yeah, me too. It's so easy. I need this now, and you get it not now, but very close to now.
Well, because of where we're located, I honestly can order something in the morning and have it here by 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on what it is.
Yeah, wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty fast.
we have a huge warehouse, probably 30 minutes away from us.
Well, yeah, convenience.
Very convenient. Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to ask you about the blog. How did you get into not blogging, I mean, the podcast? How did you get into that?
I started the podcast shortly after I was at Haven, and I wasn't inspired by Haven. I was inspired prior to that because during COVID, I would take rides in my car just to get out of the house, and I would listen to podcasts because I couldn't stand listening to the news. And I wasn't typically driving long enough that I really wanted to listen to an audiobook. However, I do that as well. But I started listening to some podcasts, and I thought, how fun is that? I think I would really enjoy doing that. And I started my podcast with my daughter Emma, my youngest daughter Emma, and we had a blast. But we were so off. I was not on brand with her. We were just being silly and talking about whatever. And so I kind of had to tell her when she moved downtown that logistically it just wasn't going to work for me, and went off on my own. However, and she was fine about it. However, I do have Annie and Emma on my podcast every once in a while to chat about things, either about our family, about traditions, about our decorating, about different things. I just had Annie on last week to go more in depth about what we did in their house and their kitchen. So they're involved in it. I would say my podcast is probably third on my list because I have not figured out a great way to monetize my podcast. But I still enjoy doing it, and I've loved everybody that I've talked to.
Yeah, I think it must be so much fun. Like for me, doing these interviews it's fun. I like it. I get to know someone a little better, right? It's
Right,
great.
right. It's the way I've gotten to really know, even some of the people that I thought I knew really well. I always find out something about them when I'm interviewing them on a podcast that I had no idea.
Yeah, that's fun. And what about the book club you're having? How does that work?
Well, that actually, it was my idea. I really admired the girls who do the virtual supper club. Are you familiar with those bloggers?
No.
It's Simply Two Moms is one of them.
Oh,
Michelle from Vintage Home Designs in Texas, she's another one that's in the group. Gosh, what's the gal who lives in New Jersey? She's a gardener. Stacy, yikes, can't think of her last name. Anyway, there's about 5 women, and they do the virtual supper club, and they've been doing it for several years. And it is something I look forward to. Once a month, they do a tablescape, and then they do a recipe. And I liked the consistency of it, and I liked the concept of it. And I was doing blog hops with people, and I was kind of all over the place. And I just really felt like I needed to be more honed in and more focused on something. So I thought, well, this is what I want to do, but I don't want to steal their idea, obviously. And I came up with the idea of a book club, and asked 3 other blogger friends to join me. And we're in our second month. We just finished up Emma. by Jane Austen. And this month coming up, we're doing The Help, which they're honestly outside of the political aspect that you could take from it, because we're not going down that route. There's so much inspiration in the book as far as decorating and the fashion and the 50s. And yeah, I'm really excited about this next one. So every month we have a book that we do our take on. Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month, we do our take on a decorating concept that we're inspired by the book to do. And then on Saturday, we do a recipe that is inspired by the book. So very excited about that. And I'm actually starting in with another group of 3 other bloggers. And once a month, we're going to do, it's called Designing Women North Meets South. And we're going to do our take on different areas of our house design wise.
Fun.
Yeah, very excited about that. But then I think that's it for me as far as collaborations with other bloggers, only because I already blog almost every single day, or I either have a podcast or a blog post every day of the week except for Monday and Tuesday. And so that needs to be it for me.
Yeah, there has to be a limit of, you can only do so much.
Right.
Oh, you should do, because you love Italy, you should do A Room with a View. It's a book and a movie. Do you remember that one?
I believe it's on our list. I'm just
looking.
It? It's coming up in May.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And Emma, that's one of my favorites too. I love everything from Jane Austen.
Yeah, that one was a fun one. But I struggled a little bit because to put design elements into your house from the 1800s, it was a little bit of a struggle for me. But we still enjoyed the book. The idea is we enjoy the book and we want to share what we know about the book. So
yeah, I think it would be neat to do Out of Africa. That's one of my favorite books. And just the movie, like the wardrobe she had in the movie, it was her clothing was so gorgeous, and the safari outfits and things like that, and eating outside and having picnics and things like that would be a neat one to do.
I'm going to write that one down, because sometimes, in fact, the book we were going to do this month, what we had chosen, once we all read it and we all digested it, we're like, I don't know how we're going to make this work. So we switched. And I think that'll probably happen again. And another thing is we want to, once we get on a roll with this whole thing, we want to invite bloggers to join us, a different blogger every month to join us in the book club, so that we kind of bring it full circle with other people.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. I have a store, right? I have a boutique, and it's in an old house from the 1800s. So cool. I offer my customers or people that they could have the store to themselves in the evening. If they want, they can bring their friends, have a party or whatever. And I do have a few book clubs who come, right? So they come, and I clear off the counter, and they can bring appetizers, snacks, wine, and I have all the platters and glasses and everything. And then, I clear a space for them at one of the tables, and then they have their little discussion about the book. And then they go wandering about the store and do like private shopping. And it's nice because usually they let me know which book they're reading in case I want to participate with them. So it's really fun.
That's really cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I love old houses. I lived in, when I was divorced and I had Kenny, the two of us lived in the original farmhouse in Barrington, and I'm sorry, the original dairy in Barrington, and it had been moved to the location when I bought it. And so I had the best of both worlds. It was sitting on a brand new foundation. Some of the electrical had been upgraded, and but I had to redo the whole interior, and it was so much fun. I loved that house. Loved that house.
Yeah, I love older older buildings because they just have so much character. And like the store where I have my boutique in, it has some old brick walls, and you can see all the different colors in its
Mhm.
yellow brick because that's what was done, in the 1800s in this area. And it's just, there's so much warmth to the yellow bricks, and there's
Right.
little bits of teal in there, little bits of gray, and it gives so much warmth. I just love it. Love it, love
Yeah,
it.
the only thing I would say about an older house was I had teeny tiny closets and one bathroom, so I had to work with that too.
Yeah, that's always the thing. But with everything, there's always pros and cons, right?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, yeah. And have you ever dreamed about building your own house, a new house, the way you want it to be?
I've dreamed about it, but I honestly don't think that I've never lived in a brand new house, except when I was a kid, when my parents built a brand new house. Um, I honestly don't know that I would want to go through that process. I have dreamed about it, and it would be fun. That'll never happen in my lifetime. I know that.
Yeah.
But I can there's something about an older house, just taking it and making your own, that is appealing to me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's older houses, they have more of a soul, they've been
They
lived
de-
in, they've been used.
they've definitely have a soul, because there is not a house that I owned that I didn't walk into and I knew in my gut that I was going to live there. I just had
Mhm.
this every single house. One of them, we were in a bidding war with somebody, but I knew it was going to be my house, and sure enough, it was.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it? You
Yeah.
just know it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess we're at the end of the hour, I think. So I just want to be careful of your time, and thank you for coming on and getting to know you. And yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun, and we'll have to chat about blogging and things outside of podcasting.
Yeah, we'll do that. So thank you. And we'll talk.
Okay,
All right.
bye-bye.